Hello, I'm Krina Patel. I'm an artist and I teach as well. We are here in my studio where I'm working on visual memory collages. I invite you to join me in remembering and sharing memories. So let's work alongside. But first, what is a visual memory collage? A visual memory collage is essentially a story of our experiences in words and pictures. I use the visual art making technique of collage because collage literally means piecing together or sticking together. And that's what we are doing. We are piecing together our memories and matching them with words and images to share a story of our experiences. And I do believe that our lives become fuller and more meaningful when we view others' experiences and share ours. So first, let's talk a little bit about memories. When we start to remember or go down memory lane, as they say, it's not an expressway. It's really a path. There are dips and curves and blind turns. And sometimes memories come flooding right in to the point that we get overwhelmed. And at other times, they remain so elusive, you just cannot remember, even if someone tells you all the details. So just the other day, my neighbor was telling me that she clearly remembers the day I moved into the studio a few years ago. And that she remembers meeting me in the hallway and having a conversation with me. But you know what? I don't remember any of that. I don't even remember the year I moved in, for that matter. What I do remember is a few days after I moved in, she came to visit me in my studio. So you know how it is with memories. They're there and they're gone and they appear again, and sometimes for example, memories. I don't even remember where I put the materials that we were going to use today, but I'm going to find them soon. Anyhow, how then can we actually remember and put our experiences together or our memories together to form a complete picture? The first thing I want to say is that we are not making a complete picture of our lives. We are going to make a collage or a series of collages of different experiences in our lives. So one collage is an experience, the second collage is yet another experience, the third collage is yet another experience, and a whole lot of these visual collages or visual memory collages make a visual memory album. Now, you might say, I have so many memories, where do I even start? In fact, that's how I often feel. Where do I even start? So one of the things I've done, the first step is that I've tried to organize the memories into different themes: seasons of life, people, significant events, places, objects and activities. 5 themes. So for example, the first theme is seasons of life. And here we are actually talking from birth to now, a straight timeline. Different, parts of our lives: childhood, adolescence, adulthood, that kind of thing. But we know that life doesn't move in one straight line, just like memories. There are diversions, there are switchbacks, there are crossroads, complete stops. You get the picture. You meet somebody, you break up, you drop out of school, you get married, hopefully not divorced, you get a fresh start. Then people we meet at different times of our lives: childhood, school, college. Then there are places: the place where we were born, place we moved to, place we lived the longest. That's another theme. Then objects and activities, things we collected, cars when we were growing up. And then there is yet another theme called significant events. So the most challenging time in our life, the happiest time in our lives. So, there are different themes or buckets, and I call them umbrella themes. Let me give you an example. Let me select the umbrella theme of significant event. Being born is a significant event. So I could talk about early childhood. But then, I immigrated to this country as an adult, and that is a very significant theme in my life. So I'm going to focus on that, I think, this process of immigration. Let's take a break from talking about memories just for a little bit so that we can talk about the art technique of making collages. This is the technique we are going to be using to share our stories. And this technique has been used by artists since a very, very long time. Ever since the invention of paper back in the 10th century, some people say. And as I said before, collage literally means to glue together. And that's what we are doing, piecing together our experiences, the experiences that we remember, and creating a picture as we do in a collage. Collage is making pictures, or as some people say, painting with paper. I think it was Henri Matisse who said that, and who made a beautiful series of collages that I will show you. So let's look at some of the collages that artists have made. First up is a collage by Gino Severini, an artist I really like. His collages are charming. This one is a collage of his memory of a journey that he took. And I love the colors that he has used. It looks like it must have been a very happy journey that he took. I love the framing of the two big shapes at the bottom of the picture, which matches kind of a triangle-y shape at the top. And we will be talking about the basic elements of visual design, shapes and lines and colors. This artist I particularly like because of his use of colors and shapes. This is a collage by Henri Matisse, who I just mentioned. He was famous for his blue color. He actually painted the papers himself, of course with the help of his assistant, because at this time he was quite ill and bedridden. And then he cut out the papers. There are pictures of him sitting up in bed, cutting out these shapes, which then he glued onto a surface with the help of his team. I love the dynamic shapes here. This is actually, there's an interesting story behind this work. He created a swimming pool in the room that he was staying in because he was confined to his room because of his illness. I mean, I'm guessing that's the reason he did it, but he could have also done it because he loved to make collages. He was a painter, an artist, a very famous one, as we know. Here is a collage by a contemporary artist, a young woman called Jika Crosby. This was a image made in 2018. I love the details in this work, and mesmerizing. The child looking out of the picture straight at you is mesmerizing. And the way she's created this ambiance of her room with small pieces of paper stuck together. A classic collage technique. This is a collage by Romer Bearden, one of my favorite artists. You know, when I start looking at pictures, it's just, you fall silent because the picture is telling you a story and you want to listen to the story. Here it is a story of a guitar player. And there is an interesting story behind the work also, or behind Romer Bearden's work. And so it turns out that he was actually going to be a professional baseball player. But then life and memories, all of this doesn't just go in a straight line. He became, instead of a professional baseball player, a very well-known painter and an artist, visual artist. So let's get back to talking about memories. How do we structure the memories? And here again, I've come up with the process. First, there is the umbrella themes. I select a theme, significant event, think quickly about some significant events in my life, and decided I wanted to focus on the theme of immigration. So focus on one theme, one aspect of the theme. A key tip is to activate the senses. Because once you activate the senses, once you start thinking about how did that time look like? How did that time smell like even? What was the food like at that time? When you activate your senses, the memories come just like floating right in. Activate the sense of taste, the sense of sight, the smells, the sounds, the touch. Set a timer for 10 minutes. Now, this 10 minutes is really an arbitrary number. It's not the golden number, not like 10,000 steps, and 10,000 steps is also an arbitrary number. But, come up with a structure. 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 2 hours also maybe, but not the whole day, because then you sort of, get distracted and diverge and memories float away or overwhelm you. So 10 minutes, think of everything related to the significant event. Once you've spent about 10 minutes or 20 or 2 hours thinking about everything that is related to the significant event in your life, the next step is to write it down, to make a list. Really make a list and start by writing at the top. That's what I do. I start by writing, I remember. And then I make a list. Just don't spend a lot of time thinking about it, because you've already spent 10 minutes thinking about all the things you remember. Now you just have to write it down. And then I'm going to just keep writing. No stopping. I remember arriving at JFK. People always talk about how I write G. I write G like that. I don't know why. I always write G like that. I guess you can also write it like this. You can also write it like this. Okay, never mind. We are going to be... See, this is what happens. You cannot stop. You have to keep remembering. Arriving at JFK. Oh, everything looks so big. Looked huge. Huge. The cars. The expressway. Okay, keep riding. No getting lost in the memory lane. The expressway. Oh, my sister picking me up. The month was March. Cold. My sister wearing a coat. Wearing a black coat. I remember the coat was black. See, that is the thing. You have to take yourself back to that time and activate the senses. Always activate the senses. Okay, Krina, to keep writing. Okay, my sister wearing a black coat. Oh, a party at the neighbor's place. At our neighbor's place. That was the first day I arrived. Then there is a whole bunch I can think of. Going to Manhattan for the first time. I felt like I was on a film set for the first time. My sister's father-in-law. Oh my goodness, I'm running short of paper. Is it 10 minutes yet? Well, I guess. All right. Okay, so I remember, write down everything that comes to mind. No stopping. It's almost like a memory dump. Ooh, memory dump. I like that. Memory dump. Okay, this is what I'm doing. Getting distracted from writing more. Memory dump. No distractions. No distractions. No. Oops. Okay. So, you make a list, and I could go on. Believe me, even in 10 minutes, when I did this earlier, I filled 5 pages in 10 minutes, but of course I'm writing big, but writing fast. But that's what you need to do. Write quickly. 10 minutes of just writing, not thinking too much. 10 minutes of just writing all the things you remember about that particular event. It could be, you might be writing about a person, you might be writing about a place, you might be writing about a season of your life, any of those umbrella themes we talked about. 10 minutes can produce a lot of paper and a lot of written materials on paper. once I've done this, what I need to do next is, further narrow it down. You can't, you can show like 43 things that I've come up with, or the 23 things I've come up with. So what we need to do is narrow it down. So one way to narrow that list is to really sit with that feeling that comes up, or the feelings that come up when you think of that significant event or experience, or that person or that place, because the emotions, those feelings will help you decide what you want to convey, what you want to share, what aspect of the story you want to share, and will help you decide the colors you choose, the shapes you choose. All of that will come together in the collage from that feeling tone. For me, it was an exciting time, but it was also a sad time. It was very exciting because I was in a new country, a new culture, new things, meeting new people, having new experiences. But at the same time, there was this underlying kind of sadness for having left friends and family behind, for having left the familiar behind, the warmth and sense of security to something really new. So underlying that was that. So in the second episode, we will continue to work on this significant event theme, and I'll start making the collage. So let's talk really quickly about materials before we go ahead to the second episode. I love collage because it's a very accessible and economical medium. On the one hand, you can say you need very few materials. On the other hand, you can say you need a lot. But the lot of materials that you do need are, as my mother would say, the best from waste, because it is really, pieces of paper that you gather from old magazines, catalogs, books, or even your personal collection. And then you need a surface on which you glue that onto. So the surface could be cardboard or any kind of a thicker material than the papers that you're using to stick, because that'll hold up, well and won't warp. So we need the surface to glue the colored papers on. We need the colored papers. Like I said, you gather them from various sources. You need scissors, but even that you might not need because you can just tear instead of cutting. And then you need glue sticks or regular Elmer's glue, or the white glue that I use is actually matte medium. So you can use, whatever is available to stick these things down. That's all you need really in terms of materials. I use the papers as like my palette, my color palette. And then I also work with a range of art materials. And sometimes I'll embellish the collage with colored pencils and markers and watercolors. But it's this, just you'll see there's a range of things you can do. And as we move through the episodes, you'll see all the different ways you can make collages and the different collage styles. In this episode, we talked about what is a visual memory collage, how do we start making a visual memory collage, how we pick one of the umbrella themes, make a list of things we remember that are associated with the theme that we picked, how we narrow down that list, and finally we talked really quickly about the materials. In the next episode, we'll make a collage.